Beyond the Gates spoilers for Thursday, September 11th suggest that Chelsea Hamilton will stun Catherine "Cat" Richardson, while Dani Dupree confesses feelings and Derek Baldwin tells a major lie. Chelsea's kidnapping has completely shaken the poor girl, and during the Wednesday, September 10th episode, there were hints that the social media influencer and purse designer could decide to unplug for the time being. Chelsea questioned her social media presence and how it led to her hostage situation. She blamed herself when she should have been blaming Allison. With that said, will Chelsea decide to ditch her job entirely? Will she back out of the purse launch? Will she want to delete all her social media accounts? All of these decisions, or any one of them on their own, would shock Kat to her core. Across town, Dani confesses her feelings to Vanessa McBride, so it sounds like she'll admit that while the circumstances were terrible, it was nice to lean on Bill Hamilton during the Chelsea situation. Whatever Dani says will have Vanessa running to Joey Armstrong, and as both men are tough guys, maybe Vanessa will see a lot of similarities in the way Dani describes her relationship with Bill to her own with Joey. Dani may regret not keeping their romance steamy enough, which could have had Bill turning to Haley Hamilton, so Vanessa may want to ensure things with Joey are still spicy and his eyes are on her. Speaking of Haley, she'll be fed up with Bill constantly pushing her aside for the Duprees. She's seen firsthand how Bill panders to his ex-wife's family, and it sounds like she's done with it. Will Haley threaten to leave Bill if he continues this type of behavior? There's definitely trouble in paradise with these newlyweds. Finally, Derek will tell a massive lie. During the September 10th show, BTG fans saw that Derek did feel something in his legs, but it looks like he'll keep it a secret during the September 11th show. After all, Ashley Morgan has been showing him a ton of attention, and he won't want that to stop. Beyond the Gates spoilers suggest that Derek is playing a dangerous game if he doesn't come clean about his progress. After all, no secret like this ever stays hidden, and the longer he lies about his condition, the more furious Ashley will be when the truth comes out. Beyond the Gates spoilers for Wednesday, September 10th hint that Allison will have a bizarre request, while Ted Richardson has a confrontation with Nicole Richardson. Things got pretty heated between Allison and Chelsea Hamilton at the police station during the Tuesday, September 9th show, so there's likely more drama to come on Wednesday's episode. Allison is quite delusional and still believes that she and Chelsea are in love. Allison couldn't understand why she was at the station and still feels like she didn't do anything wrong, so what kind of crazy demand will she have? And will Jacob Hawthorne or Chelsea agree to it? Meanwhile, there will be some feel-good moments during the September 10th show as Martin Richardson and Bradley "Smitty" Smith will reconnect. It sounds like Samantha Richardson's and Tyrell Richardson's two dads are on their way to getting back on track, so this little family has hope around a reunion. With that said, they won't be the only couple that bonds during the September 10 episode. BTG spoilers imply that another twosome will get a little closer, and this could mean just about anyone in Fairmont Crest at this point. Could Ashley Morgan and Derek Baldwin feel sparks again? Maybe Eva Thomas and Tomas Navarro have another one of their heartfelt conversations. Either way, a duo that's on the cusp of a budding relationship will feel a pull, and there's always a possibility for them to fall between the sheets, or simply enjoy a little kissing action. Two people who will not be enjoying either of these actions are Ted and Nicole. It sounds like the estranged couple will get into it, as Ted will feel as if his efforts aren't being appreciated. Beyond the Gates spoilers remind fans that he's the one who deterred Leslie Thomas from buying that mansion across from the Dupree family. However, as it turns out, his promise of giving Leslie his family home only delayed the inevitable. During the September 9th episode, Leslie decided to double her offer price to move forward with the home purchase. Plus, Nicole already thanked Ted for what he had done and even invited him to the hospital with the rest of the family to see Chelsea after her rescue on the September 8th show. So it's unclear as to exactly how he wants to be rewarded. Beyond the Gates spoilers imply that Ted did have a glimmer of hope that fooling Leslie would catapult a reunion with Nicole. But that does seem to be in the cards at this point. Beyond the Gates spoilers for fall hint at some exciting weeks and months ahead, as The Bold and the Beautiful's Ridge Forrester is set to do a crossover storyline. Plus, a new character is slated to debut. Not to mention, Two people's lives will change forever, thanks to some lies and a fatality, so it's time to talk about what fans can expect from the new CBS soap in the days and weeks ahead. First things first, Dani Dupree and Andre Richardson will head on a trip together, which has them in Ridge's orbit. Dani has recently opened a modeling agency and is the lead model that the company is plugging. So will Dani and Andre's trip be one for business or pleasure? Will they head to LA? Could Forrester Creations be interested in Dani as a spokesperson or a model to show off their designs? In other news, Isaiah Hawthorne, Jacob Hawthorne's brother, will debut sometime in the fall. As of this writing, no air date has been announced, but BTG spoilers note that Isaiah will get mixed up in two complicated relationships, which will create a ton of drama in Fairmont Crest. Speaking of Jacob, he and his wife Naomi Hawthorne will be on opposite sides of an issue. From the sounds of it, they won't be the only married couple dealing with problems, as it sounds like Anita Dupree and Vernon Dupree will also face some tests where their marriage is concerned. On a good note, Bradley Smitty Smith and Martin Richardson will work to repair their romance, so it sounds like these two may get things back on track. Across town, things will get hot and heavy for Nicole Richardson and Carlton Fitzgerald. So how will Ted Richardson feel about this? Elsewhere, the lives of both Vanessa McBride and Ashley Morgan will forever change. And beyond the gates, spoilers suggest this is due to a demise and some lies. It sounds like someone's chapter is ending in Fairmont Crest, so who will meet their maker before the fall season ends? Only time will tell. Lastly, Eva Thomas and Catherine Cat Richardson will continue to battle it out for Tomas Navarro's attention, which is puzzling considering how Kat's gotten the ick for her boyfriend since becoming intimate. Beyond the Gates spoilers remind fans that Kat is pretty stubborn, so knowing that her sister is waiting in the wings for her to break up with Tomas might be reason enough for her to string the lawyer along for a little while more. As the episode began, Smitty sweet-talked and exhausted Martin by noting, "You look like hell." Martin let it slide, though. He was so verklempt over his parents' imminent divorce that it had made him extra eager to repair his own marriage. "I don't ever want to lose you," Martin said. And that kiss looked like a definite step in the right direction for the couple. They should do that more. They're good at it. Smitty tapped the brakes before he and Martin retired to the boudoir. But his husband went for the accelerator. In the end, they headed upstairs to hit the sheets. Though that didn't necessarily mean that their relationship was back on track, at least their sex life was. Ah, dang it. A commercial break later, Smitty's mood had darkened. Martin thought that he no longer had to sleep on the couch. Smitty thought otherwise. "Sex is not an automatic reset button," he said. "I love you, but I don't know if I can trust you." Martin had the solution. "The next time I accidentally kill someone on the side of the road," he cracked, "I'll call you first." Wrong answer, buddy. Back at the Duprees, Ted all but demanded applause for having redirected Leslie toward a home that isn't across the street from Nicole's family. Needless to say, he didn't get the kind of praise that he wanted. "You are reaching so far," his estranged wife said. "You might actually pull something." I'm torn, BTW. Is badass, tough Nicole the best Nicole? Or snarky Nicole? They're both awesome, no? As she shot down Ted's suggestion that they deserved a chance to try to reunite, Bill entered, informed his pal that he was fighting a losing battle, and put down $10 on Nicole. Anita, Vernon, Dani, and Naomi then followed suit. After Dani and Naomi left, Vernon theorized that the family hadn't technically made a wager since there was no opposition to the bets. No one had backed Ted. This made him so cranky pants, he called his former in-laws "you people," then put down $100 on himself. When Bill called the wager family fun, Ted hit the roof, marveling that one mistake had left him ostracized and mocked, while Dani's ex was still sipping tea with the former in-laws he'd humiliated. Everyone laughed except for Nicole, who seemed affected by what Ted had said. At the police station, Chelsea insisted on confronting Allison. "You are nothing but a footnote in my story," the former model insisted to her kidnapper. In turn, Allison pointed out how amazing she'd been for Chelsea's social media engagement. "The worst thing anyone can do to a celebrity is ignore them," Ms. Nutso suggested. She then went on to say that Chelsea herself had turned into an obsessive follower. Every post had basically been designed to create a stalker. At Chelsea and Kat's afterward, the former wondered aloud why stars like her and her mom needed all those likes, all that approval. Dani explained that in her day, there was a doorway to access, and she decided who passed through it. "It's not like that anymore," Chelsea cried. She feared that she was an attention whore and had somehow led on Allison. Cut to Dani smacking down that notion as quickly as it had come up. With that, Mom left Chelsea in Madison's loving arms. There, Chelsea made it clear that she had not had sex with her captor while she'd been chained to that bed. Back at the police station, Allison annoyed Jacob by humming the wedding march. Doing so helped her in stressful situations, she said, like when she was separated from her wife. As Jacob suggested she focus on finding a lawyer, she chirped that her representation was walking in at that moment. Naomi? Hell no. She had zero interest in helping her sister-in-law. In fact, by the end of the scene, Naomi was so ready to throttle Allison, she was on the verge of needing a lawyer herself. At the hospital, Ashley suggested that Derek had a hero complex. To his credit, he copped to the fact that he liked the feeling of being needed and seeing people grateful to him. What he liked even more, though, was impressing Ashley. Somebody paged Shanice, stat. After Ashley stumbled onto Derek, he lamented that it didn't matter because he couldn't feel anything down there anyway. That said, his expression as she left sure made it seem like he was getting serious tingles. At the nurse's station, Shanice pulled Ashley aside to say in no uncertain terms that she and Derek were friends now, nothing more. Ashley had his heart, Shanice said, and not to make her fellow nurse feel better either. Child, please! In Derek's room, he tried to move his legs, but alas, nothing. Not until he started hitting his legs. Then it was like, well, see above. As the hour drew to a close, Martin tried to explain to Smitty why he had kept his secret for so many years. It boiled down to Martin not trusting his husband to love even the parts of himself that he hid and was ashamed of. How do we get back? Martin asked. Dunno. Time? Smitty suggested. But in that time, Martin was couch-bound. When Dani returned to the Duprees, she casually took a seat next to Bill and rested her hand on his leg. This did not go unnoticed by her family. Later, just as Anita was saying that the last thing they needed was Dani getting hung up on Bill again, Dani herself was reassuring her ex that that would never happen. Sure, Jan, continuing to prove himself a tad clueless, Ted is surprised Nicole didn't rush on over to the family manse in order to tell everyone he kept Leslie from moving in across the street. Nicole suggests that maybe, just maybe, her family had other things to deal with, such as Chelsea's kidnapping ordeal. Despite this, he barges over to tell Anita and Vernon what he did, which doesn't go down well with Nicole, who insists nothing he does will ever earn her forgiveness. Even as Barbie Vanessa is trying to sell Leslie on living somewhere other than Fairmont Crest, Eva is meeting with Tomas. Her goal? To hire Tomas so he can help her mama get the home of her dreams. Even if that means going up against his boss, Bill. Coming upon the two of them together, Kat isn't thrilled. The half-sisters do their usual catty exchanges before Eva exits. Meanwhile, Leslie warns that if Vanessa doesn't do her bidding, she'll charge her with discrimination. Leslie tells the realtor to double the offer she originally made on the Jarvis home. Anita and Vernon's plans to host a breakfast for Chelsea goes awry when the guest of honor freaks and beats a hasty retreat. Arriving, Nicole says they all need to let Chelsea dictate how they move forward. If she needs space, give it to her. The entire family processes the situation, with Naomi surprised to see her parents sharing a close moment. Naomi warns her dad that he'd best not be toying with Dani's emotions. He insists he's not, but it sure feels as if he's trying to have his cake and eat it too, and using the Chelsea situation to get back in good with his ex and her family. At the police station, Allison poses for her mugshot as if it's a photo shoot, all the while quoting Chelsea's Instagram feed. Chelsea eventually storms into the station to confront the delusional woman, who continues to insist she loves her wife. Allison then points out that Chelsea's social media metrics are probably going through the roof, and it's all because of her. Beyond the Gates, spoilers suggest the land of Fairmont Crest will get a tad chilly this fall. However, the drama will heat up. The Bold and the Beautiful's Ridge, Forrester will have a CBS soap crossover storyline, while there's Trouble in Paradise for Vernon Dupree and Anita Dupree. Plus, Nicole Richardson's love life heats up. Beyond the Gates, spoilers for the fall imply that Dani Dupree and Andre Richardson will go on a trip together that has them running into Ridge Forrester. Will they head to Los Angeles? Dani has started a modeling agency with Pamela Curtis, and as Andre is a freelance photographer for the company, these three could have an interesting encounter. But will Forrester Creations be interested in Dani to model some of their designs? Fans will have to tune in to find out. Meanwhile, added teasers suggest that Dani's parents, Vernon and Anita, will have their marriage tested. Will Leslie Thomas be behind this? Meanwhile, Nicole will spend more time with Carlton. Elsewhere, Bradley, Smitty Smith, and Martin Richardson will work on their marriage this autumn, while Naomi Hawthorne and Jacob Hawthorne won't land on the same page. Speaking of Jacob, his brother, Isaiah Hawthorne, will enter storylines. While there's no official air date as of yet, Isaiah will get twisted into two complicated romances on canvas, and this will cause increased tension. Plus, sisters Eva Thomas and Catherine "Cat" Richardson will continue to battle over Tomas Navarro. Lastly, the lives of Vanessa McBride and Ashley Morgan will change forever, and this is due to lies and death. Beyond the Gates, spoilers remind fans of the fun crossover the CBS soap enjoyed mere weeks ago, when the young and the restless star Brighton James, who plays Devon Hamilton Winters, entered the land of Fairmont Crest. That was the new daytime drama's very first ever crossover storyline. However, it looks like they'll get another come the fall when The Bold and the Beautiful's Thorsten Kaye is set for an appearance. BTG just released its fall preview, and as a part of that, details were offered regarding B&B's crossover arc with the new show. The report reveals that Dani Dupree will have an impromptu trip with Andre Richardson, which leads to some stunning revelations. This directs Ms. Dupree toward an interesting connection with B&B's Ridge Forrester for the crossover. It'll be fun to see Mosley interact with Kaye, considering the time she spent on Bold. She joined the cast in 2013, playing Maya Avant, a transgender woman who also became the first ever transgender bride to get married in the land of soaps. She and Ridge's son, Rick Forrester, said their I do's in 2015. Mosley was taken off contract in the spring of 2010 and remained as a recurring character until the fall of 2020, when she announced she was leaving the daytime drama. Now, Mosley gets to play wild child Dani Dupree, and the woman has been quite busy as of late, opening up a modeling agency with bestie Pamela Curtis. She's also been in a situation with resident hottie Andre, while also trying to get over her ex-husband, Bill Hamilton. To add to Dani's drama, her youngest daughter, Chelsea Hamilton, was kidnapped by Allison, but thankfully, she's back in Fairmont Crest, safe and sound. The Beyond the Gate spoilers for Friday, September 11th, 2025, show Dani confiding in Vanessa, which leads her to want to see Joey. This will be a day filled with high emotions and secrets. Dani confides in Vanessa about her feelings, which makes Vanessa want to go see Joey. This visit could change everything. For some reason, Vanessa can't resist Joey's charm. What will happen next? Will Vanessa fight for Joey? Haley is fed up with Bill pushing her side. During Friday's episode, she was at her wit's end. Bill almost lost his daughter, Chelsea, who is home and safe. But it's going to take time for the family to recover from this horrifying moment. Bill has been leaning on his ex-wife lately, which has made Haley feel left out. But Haley's not a shrinking violet. She's bound to explode. Speaking of Chelsea, she's back home with her family. She will have to process the trauma of what she went through, but this frightening situation will have her make an abrupt decision. One of her cousins will be caught off guard by her latest move. Derek is harboring a secret that's been weighing on him. He's going through great lengths to make sure it doesn't come out. But what is this secret, and who's he keeping it from? Here are your spoilers for Beyond the Gates on Thursday, September 11th, 2025. The kidnapping of Chelsea has really affected her, and nothing is the same anymore. Allison is invading her every waking thought, and even her dreams. Not wanting to be around people is so not like her, but it will be Kat who sees just how much the ordeal has changed her. In Thursday's episode, Chelsea shocks her cousin with an abrupt decision. Is Chelsea Kat going to face a speed bump? Or is Chelsea going to acquiesce to one more demand by her kidnapper? Haley is feeling very left out after Bill rushed to the Duprees and his ex-wife's side during and after Chelsea's kidnapping. Now that it's over, Haley thought she might become priority number one again. But alas, it doesn't look like that from here. In Thursday's episode, Haley is fed up with Bill pushing her aside. Haley is going to find a way to become relevant and in Bill's arms again. But in doing so, will she enrage Bill at her clingy nature? This could be just the wedge that drives them apart and shows Bill what he was missing with Dani. The women of Beyond the Gates are not shy about telling people how they feel, and this week, we have seen a lot of Dani and Bill looking awfully close and sweet together. In Thursday's episode, Dani confides in Vanessa about her feelings, which prompts Vanessa to see Joey. It's no secret or surprise that Vanessa couldn't go cold turkey with Joey, and he knew it. We see Vanessa getting caught up in the man, and just as she's losing control, a moment of shock happens. But it's not Vanessa's shock, it's Doug's. It's like watching Oprah hand out secrets on this show. You have a secret, and everyone else has one too. In Thursday's episode, Derek is harboring a secret. Now, what is it that this injured firefighter could be holding on to? In the Wednesday, September 10th episode of Beyond the Gates, the Duprees gambled against Ted, but he came out fighting. Meanwhile, Derek experienced a change of circumstances. Suddenly, he was able to feel his legs. Whatever will he do? There you go. The first part of the equation is happening. Ashley accidentally fell on Derek's legs, and he flinched. He totally felt her weight on his legs. And when Shanice told Ashley that she and Derek weren't a thing, that Ashley should go for it because he's always been her man, Derek tested his new theory. After he pounded on his legs a few times, he felt the feeling coming back. And now he's in a dilemma. Will he tell Ashley the truth? He'll still probably need some form of physical therapy. He would have trust that Ashley is there for the right reasons, however, and not just because he was injured. Or will Derek lie and take advantage of his supposed paralysis? He may not like that he is hurt, but he certainly does like the attention that he's getting from Ashley. What will it be? The lie or the truth? He's this firefighter with a hero complex. He should go the way of truth and justice, right? The Thursday spoilers tease Derek harboring a secret, so maybe he doesn't do the Dudley Dorite thing this time. Meanwhile, Ted unleashed some truths and simultaneously threw Bill under the bus. While the circumstances that brought them together were tragic, the kidnapping of his daughter, the Duprees treated Bill with the respect he had been begging them to give him for months. Ted, however, was out in the cold. But he wouldn't let them ignore him this time. Unfortunately, he looked really stupid for wanting Nicole, Anita, Vernon, and Dani to praise him for taking care of the Leslie problem. Things escalated when Bill walked into the room and slapped down some cash. He bet on Nicole to win this latest round between them. In fact, everybody bet on Nicole. Except Ted. He bet a cool 100 on himself, and he finally vocalized his perspective. Up until now, he claims that he has been fighting for his marriage. He hasn't really. On Wednesday, he admitted his failure, but also mentioned how after his affair during a difficult time, he showed up for Nicole and his family for 30 years. Meanwhile, Bill cheated on Dani, humiliating her with his trophy wife. Yet the Duprees have, in effect, closed their circle and iced Ted out despite his being Chelsea's uncle. He said he would let Chelsea know that he would forever be her uncle. Unfortunately, this doesn't explain why he kept his affair with Leslie a secret for so many years, that it came out in the absolute worst way possible. And now they have to deal with Leslie wanting to move into Fairmont Crest. They will never be rid of this woman because of him. Having said that, it was nice that he showed signs of life in this episode. Even Nicole agreed with some of his points. So many questions after watching the Tuesday, September 9th episode of Beyond the Gates. Why was Ted unable to read the room? Ted, Keith D. Robinson, has to know that this wasn't the time for the family to know exactly what he did to save the day. And for that matter, should he even be shedding light on what he did at this point? He knows Leslie, Trisha Mann Grant, will fight tooth and nail to overcome anything he and Bill, Timon Kyle Durrett, did. She's already working on Vanessa, Lauren Buglioli, to go back to Anita's, Tamara Tooney, and Vernon's, Clifton Davis, across the street neighbor. She wants to offer double what she asked before. How much was that first check Leslie received from the trust? We'd feel better if we knew, because offering double on a Fairmont Crest home? That has to be a lot. Leslie knows how much the upkeep on a mansion like that is, right? Will Vanessa fight fire with fire? Leslie threatened to make waves for Vanessa, and she played the racial discrimination card. Will Vanessa play the Joey Armstrong, John Lindstrom hit card? That's who she has on her side. Why didn't Vanessa figure out how to record Leslie? If there were a way she could have, that would have been great. Leslie vocalized her desire to live across from Anita and Vernon to overwhelm them. She feels she deserves revenge on them, and she will do whatever it takes to get it. Is there nowhere else in Fairmont Crest Leslie can live? Are there no new construction homes going up in FC? No other homes on the market? Let Leslie live somewhere else in FC that's not near Anita and Vernon. Does a place like that exist? How does Eva expect Tomas to go up against Bill? That is his boss. If he does take Leslie and Eva's, Ambir Michelle, case, then he's burning some pretty serious bridges. With Bill and Kat, Colby Muhammad. That's his career and his personal life in one fell swoop. How can Eva ask that of him? Is Chelsea going to remove herself from the spotlight permanently? We're worried about Chelsea's Ronnie Rose Mantilla future. She's already doing the Alicia Keys thing and going sans makeup. And with the way Allison, Brianna Roberts, keeps spouting Chelsea's social media sayings verbatim, Chelsea might feel like social media is no longer her friend. She even mentioned that there's a faction of her followers who are Allison and Chelsea shippers. Is anybody loving Bill and Dani's closeness? Yes. We remember what Bill did to Dani, Carla Mosley, and that he's a married man. But the closeness that Bill and Dani are showing right now is giving us a peek into what they must have been like in the beginning and during much of their marriage, when Bill wasn't cheating on his wife, that is. These two are hot, and their support for each other during this Chelsea crisis was everything. However, should Naomi, Ariel Prepidit, be worried about her mom and dad's closeness? What did you think of the Tuesday, September 9th episode? Any more questions we should be asking? The Beyond the Gates spoilers for Wednesday, September 10th, 2025 suggest that Smitty and Martin will reconnect. However, they're not the only couple that's getting closer together. Smitty and Martin have been through so much lately. Martin's past and June's reveal tested their family. They're trying to navigate their footing once again. Will this couple be able to reconcile and move on from the past? The two will share an impactful moment that will renew their strong bond. But of course, it's a soap opera, which suggests they're not the only couple that's growing closer together. Another couple will get inches closer to each other, which could bring confusing emotions to the mix. Who could it be? Reconciliation is not in the future for Ted and Nicole, who get into a heated argument. Ted feels that his efforts aren't being rewarded, which causes him to confront Nicole. Out of sheer pettiness, Ted will undoubtedly continue to stall the divorce proceedings. Ted's ego is eating at him. He's aware that he's to blame for their marriage ending, but he wants to hold on as much as possible. Meanwhile, Nicole has been ready to leave him ever since she found out the truth. Allison kidnapped Chelsea and held her hostage. She even dressed up in a wedding gown and tried to force her to marry her. But this next request is even more bizarre. This storyline is already insane. We don't know how much crazier it can get. Thankfully, Chelsea was found safe, and Allison ended up in police custody. But she will try to manipulate her, even from behind bars. This disturbing request will catch everyone off guard, so there's no guessing what Allison could do next. Here are your spoilers for Beyond the Gates on Wednesday, September 10th, 2025. Just when you thought that the scenario with Chelsea and Allison couldn't get any stranger, you're wrong, and yes, it can. From wedding cakes and vows to trying to seal the deal with making love, surely that's enough. Now that Chelsea is freed and back safe, and the deranged Allison is locked up and looking good in orange, you'd think it's over. But in Wednesday's episode, the kidnapper makes a bizarre request. Ted thought that his plan would put him back into Nicole's good graces, but as with most of Ted's recent actions, it backfired spectacularly. Nicole isn't as receptive as Ted initially thought, and if she isn't, it not only means she's not warming to his cause, but also that the situation looks bleaker than ever. There seems to be little that Ted can do that will see things return to what they once were. In Wednesday's episode, Ted confronts Nicole when his efforts aren't rewarded. Removing the threat of Leslie living close to the Duprees did nothing to abate Nicole's anger, and the words, "The quicker you leave, the quicker we can all move on," ring in Ted's ears loud and true. With the revelations of Martin's secret more than wrecking his relationship with Smitty, it's heartwarming to see that slowly Smitty has been thawing, and that there seems to be a lot more of the old Martin and Smitty vibe reappearing. In Wednesday's episode, Smitty and Martin reconnect while another couple inches closer to each other. Who is the couple that is making progress? Is it Derek and Ashley? Or are we looking too literally? Bill Hamilton and his ex-wife, Dani Dupree, appear very comfortable together, to the point where Naomi is questioning Bill about what's going on. Is there more than just an ex-partner comforting each other during and after a family crisis? Here's what went down Tuesday, September 9th, 2025, on Beyond the Gates. When Naomi was mad about her dad, Eva channeled her mom, and Chelsea chastised her wife. On Beyond the Gates, Naomi and Dani walked through the country club, still in happy disbelief that Chelsea was home safe. Dani credited Jacob with the rescue. Naomi mentioned that Jacob was tied up dealing with jurisdiction issues because Maryland resident Allison had been arrested in Virginia. Bill joined his daughter and ex-wife, and additionally praised Jacob, feeling the detective was more family than ever. Naomi watched curiously as her parents hugged over their relief about Chelsea. At his old house, Ted brought in orchids and generously sprayed Febreze around the living room. Nicole entered, surprised to see her estranged husband. She accepted the blooms and shared Ted's gladness that Chelsea was all right. Ted wanted to know what the family's response had been to his stepping in and preventing Leslie from becoming neighbors to Anita and Vernon. But Nicole said Chelsea's ordeal hadn't been the right time to talk about it. Furthermore, Nicole suspected that Ted was only looking for a pat on the back. Madison and Chelsea arrived at the Dupree mansion. Chelsea thought it odd that no one was there. However, Madison presented surprisers Vernon, Anita, and Kat, who wanted to celebrate Chelsea's homecoming. As her fam announced that the rest of the clan were coming and showered her with compliments about how she had handled her kidnapping, Chelsea stood tight-lipped. Finally, when questioned, Chelsea lied that she had another engagement, but could barely keep from bursting into tears as she rushed out. Kat swore that Chelsea had said she'd be fine with a small gathering and ran after her cousin. Vernon felt bad, having anticipated that Chelsea would find comfort in loved ones being around. Anita sensed that Chelsea needed time to heal from what she'd been through. Later, Anita described to Dani and Nicole how Chelsea had been frightened by the idea of a big group of people. Nicole surmised that Chelsea telling everyone she was okay didn't mean she was. When Vernon blamed himself for pushing Chelsea, Bill advised him not to. Nicole intuited that Chelsea was dealing with PTSD and told everyone to look to Chelsea for clues as to when she was and wasn't ready to have company. The psychiatrist called Allison's deep study of Chelsea and subsequent abduction of her psychological warfare. Privately, Bill agreed with Nicole's assessment, and Dani, while realizing she looked like she was flying off the rails again, wanted Allison to feel even a fraction of what she'd made Chelsea feel. Understanding Dani's rage, Bill reminded her also to be grateful that Chelsea was with them and out of danger. Dani said that wisdom looked good on Bill and allowed him to hold her. "There's my girl," Bill smiled knowingly as Dani balanced her gratitude with the promise that Allison would never see her coming. Naomi heard this and saw her parents embrace, grabbing Bill's vibrating phone after Dani rejoined her sister. Ms. Hamilton Hawthorne wanted to know exactly what Bill's intentions were toward Dani, as he had been permitting the vulnerable woman to lean on him. Bill reminded his daughter that he was married to Haley and that Naomi had been witnessing a family coming together in crisis. He didn't want Naomi reading anything else into it, Ted stopped by the mansion and received a chilly reception from Nicole and his in-laws. The plastic surgeon made a point of announcing that he had gotten Leslie to rescind her offer for the house across the way, causing Anita to crack that Ted was resourceful. Nicole was angry that Ted had brought up the subject after specifically telling him the family had other concerns. It torqued her that he had come uninvited, looking for applause. When Ted held firm that his motives were pure, Nicole mockingly thanked him for doing a good deed. However, it didn't mean he had earned forgiveness or favorite son status. Vernon, Anita, and Dani stood by Nicole as she instructed Ted to leave. Exasperated, Ted asked if there was anything he could do to make things right. Nicole flatly replied that there wasn't. Ted remembered that he and Nicole had been a team, while Nicole spat that they had been a lie. Was Nicole going to shun Martin and Kat for the sin of having him as their father? Ted asked. No, just you, Nicole confirmed. At the guest house, Madison followed Chelsea in and wondered why Chelsea had shut down despite exhibiting readiness to see her family en masse. Chelsea contended that she was tired, though Madison couldn't help feeling that her girlfriend just hadn't wanted to go over details of her kidnapping. Kat came in, aligned with Madison in feeling that there was something Chelsea hadn't been able to admit thus far. Chelsea waved off the notion as Madison and Kat assured her that all her emotions were valid. Kat gave Chelsea and Madison their privacy, and Chelsea grabbed her phone, observing that the internet had blown up about her disappearance and the canceled purse launch. But when Madison remarked that her fans cared about her, Chelsea replied that one fan had cared too much. Chelsea was in shock that she could have killed Allison, and over how much hatred she had felt while choking her. Madison knew that Chelsea didn't have it in her to kill anyone. Chelsea didn't share Madison's certainty about Allison staying behind bars, or about anything, especially with some of her commenters siding with Allison. Deciding that she needed to see for herself that Allison would pay, Chelsea took off, with Madison close behind. At the station, Allison struck a model pose for her mugshot, able to name the date of Chelsea's post about working the camera and how many likes it had gotten. The kidnapper was sure her own prison photo would go viral, the way Dani's had. Lord, give me strength. Jacob eye-rolled as Allison continued to laundry list the contents of Chelsea's social media. When Allison was adamant that the only crime being committed was separating her from Chelsea, Jacob heavily recommended that she get several therapists. Chelsea stormed in, calling Allison a crazy, psychotic bitch. She railed that she couldn't be around her family because all she could see in her mind's eye was Allison standing over her with the knife. Madison and Jacob didn't think Chelsea should talk to Allison further, but Chelsea seethed about Allison constantly being in her head and how she kept having to relive all the sick things Allison had done. Allison cheerily said she would never do anything to hurt her wife. After all, they had exchanged vows, and they could go back to their happy life together once Chelsea got Jacob to drop the charges. Allison labeled Madison disposable and bragged that only she could understand Chelsea. Through her, influencer Chelsea had scored the ultimate viral moment. Chelsea barely held it together as Allison correctly assumed that Chelsea had been monitoring her analytics and gloated over how much attention she had directed to her wife. Eva called to check on Leslie, who, in light of Ted's deception, stated, "I ain't breaking for no man." Leslie sneered that the Duprees didn't have the monopoly on black and bougie air, while Eva concurred that the dynasty had shown their whole behind in sending Bill after Leslie to menace her. Eva acknowledged that she usually held Leslie back, but this time she was all in on helping her mom fight the Duprees. While Eva met with Tomas, Leslie met with Vanessa, who said that the house Leslie had bid on was off the table. Leslie called the home her destiny and advised Vanessa to get in her little designer Barbie paddleboat to convince its owners to sell to her. Vanessa informed Leslie that the owners had discovered rare trees on their property that could only be moved at certain times of year. But Leslie didn't believe her and didn't want to see the other luxurious listings that Vanessa had brought to show her. Thomas realized that Vanessa was running interference for the Duprees and threatened to report the realtor for racial discrimination if she didn't secure the house she wanted. Vanessa scoffed as Leslie accused her of acting like she wasn't black enough for Fairmont Crest. Leslie retorted that Vanessa had been stringing her along, but Vanessa spoke up about Leslie purposely choosing her as a realtor to weaponize her, knowing she was Nicole's friend. Leslie fumed that roadblocks were career enders, and it wasn't lost on Vanessa that she was being threatened. Mrs. McBride sassed that, for all of Leslie's bluster, she still hadn't fired her. Plus, she couldn't just magically make the owners sell to someone. Leslie argued that money talked, and that she was doubling her offer. Vanessa's face sank as Leslie declared that she wanted the owners to be overwhelmed, and for the Duprees to not be able to do anything about her living across the street.